Hi, everyone. Welcome to Kiki and Kibitz. It's Mary, and I'm here with this week's edition of 90 Days and 900 Seconds Before the 90 Days, Season 6, Episode 6, Dangerous Liaisons. Ooh, that kind of makes me nervous. If I was going to give this episode a grade, I would give it a solid B plus. And I would like to apologize for being so late for dropping my 90-day content. I know it's Thursday already, but I took a mini vacation and I just actually watched the episodes yesterday. So you are going to get a bunch of 90-day content from me today. So let's set 900 seconds on the timer because I have lots of feelings about this episode. And let's dive right in. So first of all, we start off with Gino and Jasmine. And Jasmine needs some space from Gino. So she leaves Coco in charge of Gino and she goes off and she calls her friend Dan. And Dan, the ex, Dan, that guy. Okay. So she calls him and she's pouring her heart out to him, you know? She's not a hypocrite though, because her producer asked her, how would she feel if Gino was in touch with one of his ex? And she's like, hell's no. No, 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 no. I would slice his throat and cut his dick off. I mean, she didn't say that, but we all know that's what she meant. But she's more mature than Gino. Okay. So she's allowed to be friends with her ex, but Gino would never, ever, ever, ever in a billion years be allowed to be friends with his. Okay. So get that straight. So anyway, she's pouring her heart out to Dan that, she hasn't had sex with Gino. And since he's been there, they've only had sex once. I mean, that's exactly what you tell your ex, the ex that you had right before Gino. You pour your heart out to him, all about your sexual problems. And, so Dan tells her that she deserves the world. And Jasmine's like, oh, thank you so much for telling me this, because sometimes, I feel less worthy. Yeah, this is a great conversation to be having with your ex. Just saying. Okay. So now Gino and Jasmine go for a exercise session in the park. And for you guys who do not watch the show, I'm going to give you a demonstration of the type of exercises they were doing in the park. Okay. So Gino was doing squats with Jasmine, and Jasmine is behind him, helping him do squats. Okay. So Jasmine's like, come on, baby. Come on, baby. And Gino was getting excited. Gino was excited. It was just, you know, Gino even said himself, he didn't mind the body movements if it wasn't in public. So, anyway, Gino says Jasmine said that the squats would help his body movements during sex because he's kind of robotic, Jasmine says it'll help this during sex because he's kind of robotic. But Gino insists that he's a wild beast. Okay. So Jasmine asked Gino what's his ultimate sexual fantasy. And we all know his ultimate sexual fantasy will probably be 2,000 hats. But anyway. And Gino's like, it's just the constant arguing. What turns Gino Jr. off, basically. Like the constant arguing is what turns off my sex drive. And Jasmine's like, so how long do I have to stop arguing with you before you have sex with me? And Gino's like, I don't know. There's no time stamp on it. It just has to happen naturally. Okay. So now Jasmine's like, I promise to stop arguing with you if you promise to have more sex. So now they go out with Jasmine's friends, okay? And they get all dressed up fancy to go out salsa dancing. And Jasmine's like, oh, it took me 2.5 years to finally get you to wear real shoes. I got you dressed up all nice. Now they go out with her friends, Yira, the one that got her the butt plugs, and Juana. Now, Yira speaks English, Juana doesn't. Okay. So Yira starts questioning Gino. Oh, how are you handling this long distance relationship? You sure you haven't cheated on Jasmine? This, that, and the third. But before Yira started questioning him, Juana, the one that only speaks Spanish, excuse me, says that Gino doesn't look so bad for his age and looks really good from behind, which I found highly amusing. Okay, so Yira's like, oh, how are you handling this long distance relationship? Gino's like, I would never, ever, ever cheat on Jasmine. And I hope Jasmine would never do the same. So Jasmine is like, I am never, ever, ever capable of cheating on Gino, right, Juana? Right, Juana? Right? Let's go dance, everybody. So her and Juana go off to dance. And Gino and Yira, the other friend, are sitting there, conveniently alone, having a conversation. Now, Yira is the one that speaks English. And Gino's like, do you know about her friend Dane? Because Gino had confronted Jasmine about her weird behavior earlier. Because he said, when Jasmine went out earlier and left him alone with Coco and said that she was going to run errands, she was acting strangely. And he confronted her on it. And she admitted that she went out to talk to a friend named Dane. So Yira basically drops the tea that Dane is the ex or right before Gino. And Gino's like, oh, interesting. Jasmine would never, ever, ever let me talk to my ex. And here we have Jasmine communicating with the guy right before me. Red flag. So let's see what happens next week. So now let's move on to Riley and Violet. So Violet is going to take him for a formal, and I know I'm going to torture the shit out of the name of this, an oitai, a formal outfit to meet her mom and children. Okay? But I don't, and I'm going to get to this more later, because he wants to go meet her mom and children without the outfit. But that's a whole nother story, okay? Because I could have sworn that she said she wanted him to have the outfit to meet her mom and children and other events that he was going to need it for. But I don't know. Okay, so she takes him to the tailor to get him fitted for this formal outfit. And she's insulting him right in front of the tailor, who I'm assuming is her friend. And she's, like she was measuring him, and she was like, his stomach is 120 centimeters, which I admit I had Google convert to inches for me, which is almost 48 inches. Not nice. Not nice, Violet. Riley does not have a 48-inch waist. No, not nice. Okay. And so that's why Riley was doing this. So there we go. And calling him old and ugly. Not nice. But according to her, joking and calling someone old and ugly means that you love them very much. I mean, I'm gonna have to check with my nail salon chicks, because I never heard of this before. I never heard of the Vietnamese, and I know I'm like mumbling this culture. They insult you as a way of them showing your love. I've never heard of this before, so I don't get it. So anyway, she's like, cheer up, Riley. I just called you old, ugly, and fat, but it's okay. Then she gets a mysterious text. Her phone goes ding-a-ding-a-dingy, and it's a shirtless dude on her text. And Riley is like, whoa, who is that? And she doesn't want to show him her phone. And I don't get this either, because dating, married, if you're in a relationship and a shirtless dude shows up on your girlfriend's phone and you're like, whoa, who is that? And she gets defensive. I think that's kind of a red flag. Just like if a shirtless chick was to show up on my man's phone, that would kind of be a red flag for me. If we were in any kind of a committed relationship, especially if the guy flew 3 days to see you, but she insists that it's just a friend. Okay, if it's just a friend, just show him the text. What's the big deal? But she's insisting on her privacy. She shouldn't have to show him her text because they're not married. If it's not a big deal, just show him the text. The guy flew 3 days to see you. What's the big deal? I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If it's not a big deal, Violet, just show the guy your text. If it was just a friend, sending you a shirtless picture to send to your friend because he wants to date her or whatever the story was, then, Riley just flew 3 days to see you. Show him the flipping text. No big deal. I don't get it if you have nothing to hide. Like David, who I'm going to get into in a little bit, who just handed his phone over to Sheila, like, yeah, sure. But then one could argue that David had enough time to just get rid of everything on the plane, but we'll get into that later. But then, what's the big deal? So Violet says in Vietnam, we don't invade each other's privacy. Okay, so Riley had got pissed off and stormed off. He didn't want to hear any of this. And Violet's like, are you coming to meet my family or not? Because there's no way that I've already invited you to this family dinner and you not show up. And honestly, at that moment, I was thinking, like, she was like, you need to come to this dinner and bring the gifts that you have. Because I've already told them that you have gifts, but I don't know if it was just like the cynic in me. So anyway, Riley says, no matter what happens, I still care for everybody. Of course, I'm coming to this dinner. So he goes, and it's Violet's daughters, her mom, her brother. And then Riley's like, no matter how upset I am at Violet and all the arguments we have, this is the moment of pure joy. And yes, you could see the pure joy on his face. They all sit down. He gives the daughters the gifts, and they're just like, wow. You see the appreciation on their faces. Unlike Violet with the pearls, but that's another story. I already recapped that. The daughters were really appreciative of the gifts. You see the mother. The mother is sitting there like, okay, where's mine? Where's mine? And I kind of felt her because he brought gifts for Violet. He brought gifts for Violet's daughters, but he didn't bring gifts for Violet. He bring a gift for Violet's mama. And Violet's mama was sitting there like, I'm the one that has the ultimate power in this relationship. I can kill it whenever I want. And he didn't bring me a gift. So I felt the mama at that moment, but it's okay. So Violet's mama decided to confront him and say, ever since my daughter's been in a relationship with you, I just see her crying on the phone. You and your hot temper. I think both of them are hot-tempered because what I see, Violet has a hot temper too. She's not a little shrinking flower. But, mama's like, you and your hot temper make my daughter cry. What are you going to do about this, And Violet had explained, and then Violet explains the whole thing about Riley getting upset with the shirtless picture because Riley's like, I just don't want to be lied to. And her daughter, and this is where we get again, where the children, once again, are wiser than the adults involved in the situation. Okay, Violet's daughter very wisely spoke up and said, maybe liar is a little bit of a harsh word and a little bit disrespectful. Okay. And maybe, you should believe and trust my mother more. Okay. And maybe my mother should be, yes, a little more honest and trust and believe you more. And Riley even, sort of admitted in his confessional that maybe, yes, he should put down the walls a bit. But we shall see what happens here, because I don't know. Because next week, his friend confronts Violet about a couple of issues, and she doesn't seem too forthcoming. So we'll see what happens. Now, I'm already out of time, and I'm just going to get into Statler and Dempsey. Okay, so we get introduced to Statler. And Statler, in a nutshell, she has ADHD. She was adopted. Okay, she says she was rejected. I mean, she was rejected even before she was born. And when she said that, broke my heart. Okay, she was adopted by parents who really wanted a little girl. They've already had 2 boys. And she feels like that she has always been a disappointment to them, which also breaks my heart. She feels like she never lived up to their expectations. She was always failing in school. Her brothers were, grade 8 students, involved in sports, etc. She could never live up to, their standards. And then when she came out as gay, that was just another way of, not living up to their standards. But as she's gotten older, she decided that she was going to live life the way she wanted. She relates to bugs. Okay. Bugs are weird like her. She works in the finance department of a freight logistics company from home, which does not help her ADHD because she's all over the place when she works. Now, the thing about Statler is that she's a freak-a-deek in the bedroom, okay? She has had sex everywhere, including the church, while church was going on, a crowded, busy elevator with people looking in, and all sorts of places, okay? The ladies, she loves the ladies, and the ladies love her. But she hasn't had a successful relationship. So 8 months ago, she decided to switch her dating app to England because there is nothing sexier than a British accent. Now, she met Dempsey. Dempsey is sexy AF. And she, is going over there in 2 weeks. And if all works out well, she's just going to move there. The hitch, Dempsey has no clue. But hey, she thinks that she should go and hang out with Dempsey first and see how things are. Whether Dempsey is a freak-a-dick like she is, but, she doesn't think so because Dempsey's kind of shy and reserved in the bedroom. And it might kind of suck if they don't, have like the physical connection and the sexual chemistry. But, this is crazy because Statler actually has had her heart broken before by a lovely British young lady. A couple of, let me look at my notes. I think 8 months back. I might be off on the timing on that, but Statler had a British girlfriend that she was going to move over the pond for, but the chick decided once Statler got back to the US that she didn't want her to move there anymore. So now she's going to go back to England to meet Dempsey. She has her heart set on moving there. Dempsey doesn't know that she wants to move there yet. Okay, so where do we think this is a great idea? But anyway, Statler is getting ready to pack. Her ADHD is everywhere. She is like the bathroom, the closet, the bedroom, trying to figure out where to pack. Her stomach is rumbling. She is like hot mess express. Okay. Getting ready to go to the airport. Her friend, she went out to like this cool restaurant where they serve like Love Potion 69 drinks. Her friend is like, I don't think this is a great idea, but Dempsey is doing this. So she has packed with her ADHD, finally got herself packed, and she is on her way to the airport. Did I mention that Dempsey is in Thailand with her dad? And Statler hasn't properly communicated with her in a couple of weeks. And Statler's been feeling weird about this and has been bringing all of her insecurities. Yeah. So now Statler's on her way to the airport. She's nervous and excited. And she gets a text from Dempsey that she may miss her flight to London. Did I also mention that the lovely British lady that broke Dempsey's heart, the first one, wanted to meet her at the airport, but Dempsey told her no? I mean, I'm sorry, that Statler told her no because she was going to meet Dempsey. But now it looks like Dempsey's might miss her flight. Yeah. And let's see how this turns out. I don't know, Statler. I don't know if this is a good idea. Okay. David and Sheila. It is the morning after. The morning after, David climbed in bed after 30 hours of flying and not showering. Okay. And now we get to the really disgusting part. All I'm going to say is that his banana got real hard and couldn't fit into Sheila's donut. And he had to demonstrate in sign language. And my mother, if she was alive, if she would have saw that, she would have cracked the fuck up, to be honest with you guys. But I cringed. My son was in the room. My husband was watching it. And I cringed. Okay. So he demonstrated in sign language. I'm not going to, guys, how his banana could not fit into Sheila's donut. Okay. So yeah. So he also demonstrated how he lasted 4 years without sex. And I'm not going to do that either. Okay. So he gives her a gift, these little flashcards to help her learn sign language, which I thought were adorable. And then she asked to see his phone, which I said I was going to get into. Because, hey, he could have deleted all of the nasty stuff on the plane. All she knows. But like he said, I have nothing to hide. And he handed over the phone. And there was, a picture of a girl. And she's like, who's this? And she's like, a friend. He's like, a friend from school. Why did you ask if she has a boyfriend? Because one of my friends wanted me, to ask. I was asking for one of my friends. Oh, okay. I don't like her. So, the next scene we have David and Sheila going off to the marketplace. David is finally showered. Thank goodness. We don't smell him through the screen anymore. But unfortunately, we smell the marketplace through the screen. So David, it's like, this is like unlike any other marketplace I've ever been. Sheila tries to get him to eat, dried squid. It's just like, okay. So, he's like, supermarket usually makes me hungry, but not this one. There's like eyes and heads and, he sees people cutting open animal parts everywhere in front of him. And he's like, this is not appetizing at all. So, but he's just so happy to be with her in person. They're just walking around her town. So they stop in front of this church and they start talking about past relationships. Okay, so he asks her about her past relationship, and she tells him that it was with a Filipino man that cheated on her. So she asks him about his past relationship, and he says, yes, the same thing happened to me. She cheated on me. So basically, David is afraid to tell Sheila that his X was deaf because he doesn't want to trigger this insecurity or this jealousy in her, because he knows that her big insecurity is about communication. Okay, but they need to work through this, so we shall see. So now finally we have Christian and Cleo, and Christian is on the plane and getting ready to meet Cleo. And he has been cut off from alcohol from the flight attendants halfway through the flight and has gotten like 3 bloody noses or some shit. Okay. So he's nervous. She is nervous AF. She has all of her supplies with her, her sunflower lantern, her headphones, her fidget toys. I mean, everything that she needs in case she has a meltdown in the middle of the airport. She has no idea whether or not Christian is going to kiss her, but she is not going to kiss him first. He comes through those doors, and guess what? He kisses her, okay? But then he's just kind of standing there awkward because it's all sinking in. And she says that he is totally out of her league, and he's like, "Aw, thanks," instead of returning the compliment, like, "Oh, you're so pretty," or "You're out of my league," or but he was like, "Oh, thanks, babe." So they're in the car, and I'm sorry, you could feel the like weirdness and the awkwardness on his end through the screen, in my opinion. Okay. And she is, and I get what she was saying, that she feels all this pressure now that he's actually there in person. So they get to the apartment and she's like, "Okay, here's the cats, daddy's home." And I guess, during their relationship, he, referred to cats as, his kids. And I guess it was understood that he was their daddy. Now that he's there in person, he's the cool Uncle Chris. Okay. He got really defensive in that confessional. He's like, "Well, I'm not their daddy yet. We're not married, so I could just be their cool Uncle Chris." Defensive, huh? Just saying. So he's saying that he just needs some time to adjust. She's worried that he won't find her as attractive in person. And he just went to bed the first night. He's just like, "I'm really tired. You look really cute in that nightie. Mwah. Good night." Another Gino. I just turned over, went to bed. I don't know. We'll see how these two turn out. And I don't feel, I just don't feel that it will turn out very well. But I don't know. I've been wrong about other things in the past. So that's all for this week. Thank you very much for watching me. Please subscribe if you don't already. Hit that like button. Please hit the notification bell. And I'll see you next time. Share my video with a friend or 10. Thank you so much for all your support. Bye.